Is he down there now?
Well, he was at the our rec gym. So when I was walking out, I was like, he was in there. Yeah, I was like, you heard him show us David Pass. So I said to the front, but I was
Was he
like,
working out?
yeah, he was in there working. So, but I was like, of all people today, but it was just funny because I was like, man, I've seen him work back out last week. Yeah.
I don't know how he got in there. Because we don't have unless he passed himself.
Well, I guess he paid a day pass.
Yeah, but I can't imagine he's paying day pass.
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard him ever been checked.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't?
He doesn't.
Yeah. So, yeah, if that's the first time I've heard of him being in there. Hey, Seth, he might be a spy.
We have room up front if you want to come up front. Are you going to lead us in jumping jacks and calisthenics to get us started? Tall guys always sit up front, block everybody's view. Good evening and welcome. And it is so nice to have a full house as we have so much to celebrate here in the city of Radford this evening. It's good to see old friends seeing each other, and it's so wonderful to have so many successful members of our business community here. Welcome. We are all glad to have you. We like to begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, so I'll ask if Dana Jackson can come forward and lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. We will ask that you join us in a moment of silent reflection. You can use this time to think about the meeting, to prepare, to reflect, to have some silent prayer, whatever you prefer. Okay, thank you all very much. At this time, we're going to begin the meeting with our citizen comments on public matters. So if you have something you would like to share, come on down, use the microphone. Please state your name for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. We will open the floor for citizen comments on public matters. I think we're going to hear lots of comments throughout the meeting, but seeing no one come down, we will go on and close that portion of the meeting. We do begin with a couple of proclamations. We're coming up on Juneteenth. June 19th is recognized as a holiday to recognize the end of slavery and how that all came about really several years after the end of the Civil War. Juneteenth is an incredibly important holiday for us to reflect on American history, African Americans in the United States, in Radford and the New River Valley, and as such, we have a proclamation. Mrs. Foster.
Proclamation for Juneteenth, 2023. Whereas Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day, Jubilee Day, Liberation Day, and Emancipation Day, is a holiday celebrating the emancipation of those who had been enslaved in the United States. And whereas on June 19, 1865, General Gordon Granger announced that slaves in Texas were free by order of the President of the United States. The announcement came 2.5 years after President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, which had become official January 1, 1863. And whereas Freedom in Texas organized the first of what became the annual celebration of Jubilee Day on June 19th. And whereas June 19th has a special meaning to African Americans and is called Juneteenth, combining the words June and 19th, and has been celebrated by the African American community for over 150 years. And whereas the City of Radford encourages everyone to observe Juneteenth as an opportunity to reflect, to rejoice, and plan for a brighter future as we continue to address racial injustices in our society today. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor of Radford City Council that June 19th, 2023 be known as Juneteenth in the City of Radford, and we urge everyone to become more aware of the significance of this celebration in African American history and in the heritage of our nation and our city. Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we accept this proclamation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations. There is a big Juneteenth event this Saturday at Christiansburg Institute. A lot of Radford families attended Christiansburg Institute while it operated, so it has very close ties to the city of Radford. So I hope you can get a chance to go over and participate in that. And there are many other events throughout the New River and Roanoke Valley, so be sure to check those out this weekend. June is also Pride Month, and we do have a proclamation for that as well. Mrs. Foster is going to share that.
All right. City of Radford Proclamation, Pride Month 2023. Whereas lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer Pride Month is celebrated each year in the month of June to commemorate the 1969 Stonewall Uprising in Manhattan, New York, which sparked the movement of LGBTQ equality. And whereas Pride celebrations have evolved to highlight the modern LGBTQ rights movement, and whereas the purpose of this commemorative month is to recognize the hardships faced by the LGBTQ community, as well as the impact that LGBTQ individuals have had on history locally, nationally, and internationally. And whereas Pride is a celebration of all LGBTQ community members who are an important part of the diverse tapestry of individuals and families that make up the City of Radford. And whereas the City of Radford recognizes that the struggle for equality and acceptance for LGBTQ people is advanced by the dedication of advocates and allies who promote tolerance and inclusion. And whereas the City of Radford continues to work towards becoming an inclusive community in which all citizens, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity, are respected and recognized for their contributions and potential. And whereas Pride Month encourages self-acceptance, tolerance, and open-mindedness. Now, therefore, the City of Radford does hereby recognize the month of June 2023 as Pride Month in the City of Radford and encourages Radford residents of all sexual orientations and gender identities to celebrate and reflect on the vital role Pride plays in building a community that is stronger, more diverse, and welcoming to all. Mayor, I would make a motion that we accept this proclamation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Happy Pride Month. We did have an event in Radford that the Radical Change Commission sponsored on Saturday. And then I think there's an event in Pulaski this next Saturday on the 17th. But there are other events throughout the month as well, so be sure to check those out. I did want to move on to our next section. We do have several resolutions where we want to recognize some additional accomplishment. Best of Virginia. Virginia Living Magazine has done a best of list. Now, those of us that live here in Radford know we have some businesses that are the best of, but it's pretty cool when a regional statewide magazine recognizes businesses from Radford and the New River Valley as best. And so we have 28 businesses that are part of the Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to recognize those. Kelly Artrip has a resolution for us, and then following that, we're going to ask that Dan McKinney from the Chamber come up and say a few words, and then we actually have copies of the resolutions for representatives of the businesses that are there. So at that point in time, we will pull folks up. We'll actually ask you to come up and stand up here, we'll give you a copy of the resolution, we'll take one big group picture. Now, one caveat, we made our resolution based on the list as we have been made aware of it. If there are other folks who've been recognized that we're unaware of, we certainly want to recognize them as well. So help us as people have reached these wonderful accomplishments, as they've been recognized by their peers as significant businesses in their area. So Kelly, without further ado, the floor is yours.
City of Radford Proclamation Best of Virginia Living Magazine recognitions. Whereas Virginia Living Magazine had community votes on Best of Virginia 2023, and whereas 28, you said?
28.
Okay, we'll revise that. 28 Radford businesses were recognized as #1 winners, and whereas these #1 winners include Tuck Chiropractic, New River Valley Pediatrics, New River Dermatology, Thompson & Litton, Patrick Moore PC, Mullins Funeral Home, Virginia Furniture Market, McAdoo's, Sal's Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria, Radford Coffee Company, Tie This Express, Pete Dye River Course, NRV Community Services, The Hair Loft, Sam's Brothers Incorporated, Carter Bank and Trust, Carillion, and whereas 11 Radford businesses were recognized as notable mention businesses, and whereas these notable mention businesses include Brickhouse Pizza, Long Way Brewing, Sinklin Farms, Central United Methodist Church, Blacksburg Boxing and Fitness, Carillion New River Valley, Garrett's, Gates Florist and Gifts, PR Sturgill Jewelry, Truist, and Member One. And now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Radford that these 28 businesses are hereby recognized for their exceptional business product, services, and dedication to the City of Radford as they celebrate this monumental achievement. Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to accept this proclamation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? I think everybody deserves a round of applause. How about that? Bravo. At this time, I'm going to ask Dan McKinney if he would come forward and maybe say a few words on behalf of the chamber. But while he's making his way to the microphone, I just have to say, we know that these businesses are incredible. We know how much hard work it takes. We know the dedication. We know the service you provide to this community, and just say thank you. Thank you so much for all you do. Dan, the floor is yours.
So on behalf of myself, the board of the Radford Chamber of Commerce, I want to thank the City Council and its members, David Ridpath, Jenny, for allowing us to recognize these tremendous businesses and the dedication they've made to providing such an awesome service and having such loyal customers and people who are willing to vote for them. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. And a round of applause to you, too. I'm going to ask that one representative from each of our businesses please come on down, and we will give you a copy of the resolution. So come on down if you're representing a business that's recognized here this evening. It's good.
Looks good, doesn't it? The bridge looks good, doesn't it? The table, we finally got all the flags back up Thursday. Congratulations. Congratulations.
You don't have to leave.
Blame me if you do.
I think the best way we can continue to celebrate these businesses is let's go out, let's spend some money with them, let's make sure others know about it. This is a great promotional piece, but I think also the best thing we can do is to continue helping them help us. So again, thank you to all of our businesses. You know, we have a very special person in this community who's done all kinds of incredible things over the years and has just been such a central part of the Radford experience for so many folks. Has served on the Planning Commission, has, answered the call of duty in so many different ways. But one of the neatest things he's been doing for the last few years has been the community garden. And so to recognize Jim Graham, Seth has a proclamation today.
Whereas the Radford Community Garden began in 2010 at what is now the New River Sports Complex with 10 plots, and whereas initially there were a limited number of 20 by 20 plots, but over time the garden has grown to over 40 plots ranging in sizes. And whereas the Radford Community Garden moved locations to Pulaski Avenue in 2013 and is now contained in a fenced-in area with a combination lot given to all gardeners. And whereas Jim Graham has served as the community garden coordinator for years and invested time and effort to ensuring the success of the Radford Community Garden. And whereas the atmosphere and success of the community garden can be attributed to Jim. And whereas the garden has been a great place to meet like-minded citizens, make new friends, raise healthy vegetables, and be outside along the New River. And whereas the community garden is truly a community where gardeners share a wheelbarrow and hand plow as well as tips and tricks of the trade when gardening. And whereas Jim Graham has been the face of the Radford Community Garden, promoting and growing the garden over the last 13 years. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Radford, Virginia, that Jim Graham is recognized for his role in the success and growth of the Radford Community Garden, and hereby names the Radford Community Garden the Jim Graham Community Garden, and encourages all citizens to support and recognize the contributions Jim Graham has provided to the city and its gardeners. Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we accept this resolution.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Jim. I think you deserve a round of applause. Absolutely. Would you come on down? Come on down, Jim. Let's join him down front. And I gotta say, his garden looks great this year. So. Thank you, David.
Sorry, I had to keep it from you.
No, you weren't. Not at all. But I think you have a little presentation for us. So come on over.
I prepared a PowerPoint that won't take 3 or 4
That sounds perfect. Is that okay? Absolutely.
I think you will see the garden better. That's not real clear, but this slide here is the day that we opened the garden. We had a ribbon cutting ceremony. David Redpath was there. A couple of the councilmen were there. Bob Nichols, Tim Cox, several of the gardeners, and I had help with the lady that's in front, Brittany Gibbs. She helped me. Brittany's still a gardener there after all these years. Next one. And this was the same day we were talking, and we had a person from, I believe he was from the Department of Agriculture of the city, the State Department of Agriculture was there that day, talking to us about the garden and the soil and so forth. Next one. Here's a spring view of some of the plots at the garden. Go ahead. In the spring, several times we've had river rock pickup. Every year we plow, more rocks come up, but it's getting better after 12 years. So we try to get together, and I've actually had the city haul a couple of truckloads of rocks out of the garden over the years. Here's another picture of us picking up the rocks. This shows how we till. In the fall, in October, we have the garden deep plowed, and it stays through the winter, freezing and thawing. And then, next one. In the springtime, then we have a tiller that goes through it, and it's almost like a flower bed. When the tiller's gone through in April, it's very workable. The problem with the garden, and there's another picture of that. The problem with the garden is if you don't get in there and work it, you're gonna lose. There's a lot of weeds that can come up, so you have to really work the plots. The plots are 20 by 20, full plot, 10 by 10, small plot. Next. Here's a picture of the garden early in June, and I think I have this picture of that same plot 2 weeks later. You can't believe how things grow in the garden. They're really growing this year. This was a fall plot, I believe. Yes, still bearing in October. And here it is, deep plowed, ready for winter. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Jim.
And as far as getting a plot, excuse me, in March, in February, we usually advertise in the News Journal. We have it on the Radford webpage, and also in the March billing statement that comes to the Radford citizens, we have a notice in there. It's usually the second week of March is when we sign up. And usually the sign up takes place in about 3 days. It fills up quick.
Let me ask you a quick question. So I moved my mom here from Illinois last year, and so we have a spot in her backyard so she can have her garden, and we're not having much success. So for the backyard gardeners, is there something in particular that you guys are adding, like some superfood? What are you doing? What's the secret?
Well, I have a backyard garden, probably you've seen also, as well as a garden there.
Tomato or two. I don't know a thing.
You just have to really work at it. You have to fertilize, and you have to stay after the weeds, and you have to try to get the soil such that it's in good shape.
Well, ironically, not even weeds are growing in it right now. So we got weeds down, nothing's growing. So I may have to pick your brain a little bit and have you look at it. So
I'd be happy to look at it for you. I've been helping others at the community garden this year. In fact, I helped one person that her garden's better than mine.
Well, I'm going to take you up on that.
Consultation fees, Jim. I think that's the
right.
secret right there.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. So now I get to share just a little bit of personal history, and then we're going to move into another resolution. So when I was a little boy in Radford, we had one of the coolest businesses here. And in school, we would talk about it because they would come and visit us at Bell Heath Elementary and then later at the high school. When Inland Motor would come to town, they would talk about all the really neat things they were a part of. And as kids, we would talk about the fact that, they make really cool motors and well, as a little boy, you're interested in all kinds of motors and electronics and the engineering and all that. And they were part of the moon missions. And back in the 70s, that was a huge thing. We talked about that kind of stuff all the time. So one of the neatest things that we can do is to continue to celebrate the Inland Motor legacy as it has become later Cole Morgan and now Regal Rexnord as they have a new parent company. But they still are doing really cool things in our community. But looking back at that history, we have a lot of neat things to celebrate. And so Bill Fleischer, who worked on the program back in 1970, is here to talk to us a little bit about what occurred. And we're going to ask you to come on down and share with us just a little bit about what took place. Bill, the floor is yours.
Well, I need to make a correction, first of all. I was in high school in 1970.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't mean to age you there.
Well, at this time, I would like to have all of those former Inland Motor employees or their family representatives come forward so that I may introduce you. Well, come on. Believe it or not, they're a little bit bashful.
It's like a reunion. We love that.
They're all in their upper 80s.
Now, Bill, you got everybody standing up. You can't talk for too long.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me introduce this fine bunch of people here. We have, on the end is Charlie Jenks. He was the quality control manager. We have Dave Hale over here, who was a quality engineer. And next to Charlie is Georgine Hash. She was the secretary of the quality group. She kept those two guys straight. And then we have Jim Hayes, who was our materials and safety engineer. And we have Ken Olson, who was a design engineer and a reliability engineer. And then representing Gary Young, who is his wife, Martha Young. Gary was an applications engineer. And we have Beverly Hoyt Edwards, who's representing her father, who could not be here tonight. He had an operation. He wanted to be here. But Ray was vice president at that time and then became president of Inland Motor, and a pretty good mechanical designer in his own right. So these, I wanted to tell you something about these people. Every once in a while, a special group of people comes together to do amazing things. And this is an example of such a group. I don't think people realize just the contribution that they made to this city. Through the course of their tenure at Inland Motor, over 26,000 separate, distinct motor designs were made and developed. And these went in over 1,000 different applications. The Inland Motor torque motors that were built in Radford went in mechanisms that studied the ocean floor, that were in spacecraft that went in the outer regions of our solar system. They made high-end motors for industrial equipment, for medical equipment, even implantable motors in the human body. They made motors for robotics and a whole host of things for the military and aerospace. These motors some of them were small enough to put in the palm of your hand, and some of them were large enough that you could actually stand inside of them. It was quite a range of products that they did, and they became world-renowned. All over the world, the products that were made here in Radford were sold for a number of different interesting applications. One of the applications, as our mayor mentioned, was providing motors to the aerospace in the Apollo program, which took the astronauts to the moon. This is an example of the motor that was on the LEM, which stood for Lunar Excursion Module. This was the part of the spacecraft that lowered the astronauts to the moon. Now, if you were alive in 1970, or if you saw the movie Apollo 13, you know that there was an explosion of an oxygen tank. And it rendered the spacecraft helpless. They could not land on the moon. And they could not use the reentry rocket to get back to Earth. They had to use the thrusters on the limb in order to propel the spacecraft back. This little motor controlled the thrusters. When that happened, everything had to be extended beyond what it was designed to do. So NASA began calling all the engineers that worked on any component, and when they called Inland Motor, they said, we know what your motor was designed to do, but what will it do? Because they had to stress this thing beyond the original specifications. Thank God that Inland made quality products that always exceeded what the customers expected, and that worked for the number of times that this was extended beyond what it was meant to do. It brought 3 astronauts home safely. And as I mentioned, I was in high school when these wonderful people were doing this. When I graduated college, I was really blessed to get a job at Inland Motor, and I had the good fortune to work with these folks for 30 years. Having worked and been in the inside of other motor companies, I can tell you I learned from the absolute best in the industry. I mentioned that these people were part of what they called Inland's first family, and it felt like a family. They shared and they helped people. One of my mentors, he spent so much time with me, and one day I thanked him for all the time he had spent teaching me. He said, I can't repay those that help me. I can only thank them by helping somebody else. He said, your thanks to me is you go help someone else. They didn't just teach engineering principles, they taught life lessons. And I don't think people in this community realize the contribution that this company made to, not just to the city of Radford, but to our country. And it wasn't just tax dollars and things and bringing talent into their community. They were a good corporate citizen. They gave to nonprofits, they helped the school system, and I believe they donated the Wharton House, which is now Glencoe, our city museum. So I thank you so much, council members, for this opportunity to recognize this wonderful bunch of people. They're a remnant of what once was, but we're so thankful that they could be here. And personally, I want to thank all of you for what you've done for me and for others, and just who you are. So may God bless you. Thank you.
Sure may. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm so long-winded. I have a case of talkatosis. But anyway, Bill was just saying about how our motors had specifications for what they would do, but our founder, Mr. Unruh, decided we made the dew line up around the Arctic Circle. We had motors there that fit in the base. They were 36 inches in diameter. And they went into the, I guess you would, back then we just had what I guess you would just have, I was trying to think, it was a dew line, and so you had all of the different things that you were detecting what was coming from Russia. Anyway, we had the first one ready to go, and he decided, let's test it and see what it will do. So everybody got around, and he ran this thing and ran it, and it burned up. So it had to be shipped like in 24 hours. So these people, everybody stayed there until that motor was completed and tested again and then went out. And it was one of those things where Bill was talking about teamwork. There were no hands on the clock. That if there was a problem, everybody, from an expediter at the time and Mr. Unruh himself, they were in there tearing this thing apart, getting it all wound back together.
and then shipping it on time. And so, and I made some notes today thinking about people. There's Charlie Jenks and David Hale and Ken, and I wrote quality control, and out from it I put tough, because it did not go until it was right. And they were so aggravating. So anyway, I thank them and I owe them so much, because they were part of the network that put up with me. So God bless you.
Well, we want to recognize all of you, but you've been standing up here quite a little while, and I don't want anybody to have any issues. So if you want to have a seat where you've got a proclamation for you, then we would like to have you come back up for a picture, if that's okay. And Mr. Gillespie, you have a proclamation for us.
All right. Resolution, Inland Motors roll recovery effort of Apollo 13. Whereas Inland Motor moved to Radford in 1957 as a manufacturer of specialty torque motors, and whereas their products have been applied in many different mechanisms ranging from deep sea applications to exploratory spacecraft. And whereas one motor, known as the Cube motor, evolved into an industrial standard size well-suited for the military and aerospace markets. And whereas a motor from the Cube motor frame size product line controlled the thrusters on the lunar excursion module for the Apollo rockets that transported the American astronauts to the moon. And whereas in 1970, when one of the oxygen tanks on the Apollo 13 flight to the moon exploded during a routine oxygen stir, NASA was faced with the task of finding a way to bring the craft and crew safely back to Earth. And whereas the lunar excursion model was used as the re-entry vehicle because the intended re-entry rocket was thought to have been damaged during the explosion. And whereas control of the lunar excursion module's thrusters was critical for the success of this mission, and Inland Motors' Little Cube motor was the component that regulated these thrusters. And whereas quality engineering and design of the Little Cube motor allowed for the safe return of astronauts Jim Lovell, Fred Heiss, and Jack Swigert to Earth. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Radford, Virginia, the Inland Motors is recognized for their role in the recovery effort of Apollo 13 and the safe return of American astronauts to Earth. And City Council encourages all citizens to support and recognize the contributions Inland Motor has provided to the city, Commonwealth, and country. Mr. Mayor, I would like to ask that this, make a motion that this resolution be accepted.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Congratulations. Can we get our group back up here? I hate to ask you to come back up again, but we want to recognize you. Bill, we want you to come up here, please. Will you help facilitate this, really, please? Come join, at least join us for the photo. Okay? Everybody in here real close. Seth, we have one more cool little piece. You want to tell folks about that little memento that Bill gave us?
Yeah, Bill was kind enough to, will you tell us? Yeah, for donating this. This was actually from the, if I understand correctly, from the floor of Cole Morgan. And we're going to donate this probably to Glencoe Museum and present it with a little bit of the backstory and the history. So appreciate you guys not only donating this, but sharing your story and all the contributions you guys have made to the city. So thank you guys.
Thank you, but, we burned the building down.
But after you did all the important work, that's the important thing, right? That's right. There you go. Well, this has been a wonderful evening thus far as we've celebrated a lot of great Radford folks, our history, our businesses, our community, the things that are moving forward now. And we have some exciting things coming up this summer. I'm going to ask Greg Holbrook if he would come forward. He's going to tell us all about our 4th of July plans and the Spirit of America celebration. So, Greg, the floor is yours when you come up to it.
Thank you. Wanted to give everybody an opportunity to come out to our 4th of great activities we got planned, starting with our music schedule. From 1 to 3, we're going to have a band called Kendrick. They're out of North Carolina. They're uncle and niece duet, and they performed in country and gospel music, and they actually performed on American Idol. They'll be there from 1 to 3 there. Following them, returning, is the Cat 5 Band. They're out of Greensboro. They play a lot of pop and beach music, so you can get your ladies and swing them around a little bit and enjoy their music there. They performed the 4th last year for us. At 5:30 to 7, we're going to have the Motown Review, which has been here last summer. It's a very energetic band. They play a lot of Motown songs and do a really great job. And then our headliner this year is Edwin McCain. He's performed mostly pop music, and he's had some very top songs, one being I'll Be, and I Could Not Ask for More, that are very popular songs still today. Looking forward to having them come. His songs made the top 200 Billboard also, so they're looking forward to see them out. As far as the program schedule, at 5 to 5:15, we'll have the opening ceremonies with Mayor Horton presiding for that. At 5:15 to 5:30, we're going to do a canine exhibition. At 5:30, Motown Review will play the national anthem. During the day, we'll have all kinds of vendors, food vendors. It has Mexican pizza, burgers, hot dogs, Philly cheese, sausages, chicken tenders, ice cream, snow cones, fresh lemonade. So a variety of vendors. And then we'll have a lot of craft vendors that'll be here as well that will be on display with homemade gifts, clothing, jewelry, wall decor, printed canvases, mugs, and much more. 1 to 8, we have an extra hour this year of the games and inflatables. They'll be beginning with games such as the mechanical bull. Now, how many's wanting to do that? Hold your hand up first. Paul, are you? Yep, have you on board for that there. We got an obstacle course. We got a bouncy house. We got basketball shoots, so you can shoot some basketball, throw football, soccer, climbing wall that's coming back this year, and many other toddler games for the kids to play. 98.1 will be our classic country will be live, remote, all day, and they're advertising now on their station for the celebration of the 4th for us there. And then we'll have a shuttle from 1 to 10:30. Parking could be a little different this year. We have some limited parking where the
skate park has
skate
gone
park.
in. Yeah.
That thing where we had people parking there. So we may have to move them on down some, and possibly at as far as Veterans Field or the park right beside a New River Sports Complex that we can shuttle them back and forth during the day. And then finally, at the end of the night, around 9:30 and around dark, we have our fireworks display again. Third Security is our sponsor again this year. They do a great job with our fireworks. It's probably one of the best that you'll have in this part of Virginia. And then, of course, Paul here's tonight. He'll be running our tube kayak service during the day. So altogether, we should have a fun day planned, many activities. Invite everybody to come out, enjoy yourself, and just enjoy the 4th.
Greg, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, and
All right.
thank you and the Rec Commission and the Tourism Commission and everybody who's been involved. Thank you to Kim Repass for helping us with the programming. We're really excited. It's going to be a great time this year. Now, I will just reiterate what Greg was saying. You're probably going to need to ride the shuttle this year. We're expecting a big crowd. Parking is limited. Plan on the shuttle. And we'll have detailed information on the website, on all our social media, so that folks will know where to go, where to pick it up. It'll make everything a lot easier for everybody. So we should be good to go. But thank you so much.
I want to just real quick
Okay.
reiterate, because this will come up. So the 4th of July celebration is on what day?
Yes.
So I've already been asked, what day? So it is on the 4th, and I would like to commit to the bounce house. I will
There you
commit to
go.
that. Not the bull, but the bounce house. But
Yep.
just so everyone
If you
knows,
need
it
any
is on the
practice,
4th.
watch Urban Cowboy.
There you go. Seth, you had something you wanted to ask too?
Yeah, I just wanted to say again and reiterate the mayor's words. Greg, thank you for all you do, your staff, the commission. I know city staff and Kim Repass have worked really hard on this, and Greg, you've been doing it for a long time, and you do an excellent job. And having worked at the Rec Hall for a long time, there's a lot of things that go into making this, and you guys work really hard. And there'll be people picking up the firework debris the next morning and cleaning up the park. There's so many people that work hard to make this happen, and I honestly think we have the best 4th of July celebration in the New River Valley. So
Here.
thank you for what you guys do, and I think it's going to be a great day. So thank you.
One last thing I want to just mention is next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're hosting the Cal Ripken U10 and U12 baseball tournament. Our kids we got an all-star team, and our U12 team will be playing. So it'd be great if we could have a lot of support from our Radford citizens to come out and watch our little ones play. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Where all will they be? What fields?
Veterans Field.
Veterans Field.
1 and
Everything
2.
at Veterans Field. Is there ticket price for everything?
We're working on, we got a meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
It kind of fluctuates now year to year with the prices of baseballs
Right.
and umpire fees and stuff there. So
Once you get it ready, we'll put it on social media.
we'll take.
There we go.
we'll do that.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Okay, we don't have any old business we need to deal with, but we do have a public hearing we need to have this evening. The city has a number of encumbrances and purchase orders at the end of fiscal year 23, which we're arriving at right now. It totals $1,139,967. They relate to the electric department equipment, information technology, Tyler to East Main Capital Project, Radford Transit, and several small general fund elements. So at this time, we will open the floor for the public hearing to see if anybody has any comments or questions. Hearing none, we will close the public hearing, and we will move forward to our new business. We do have a water line inventory. We've received a grant from the Virginia Department of Health to conduct a water line inventory to identify possible points of lead intrusions. You know, we've heard all around the nation where lead in the water supply can be such an issue. We've been incredibly fortunate, knock on wood, here in Radford, but I think this water survey will help us find any potential areas. So it's driven by the Environmental Protection Agency. And David, what do you have for us to tell us a little more about that?
Sure. Jenny, you want to turn my mic on? Just a couple of quick things. This is going to be a pilot. This is a program that's nationwide. It's been driven by issues with water lines across the country that you've heard throughout the COVID years. And The state of Virginia is getting ahead of this. We're one of the early entrants, and the reason for that is we've got a detailed GIS system. We know our water lines. We know our system. So the health department's going to be using us kind of as a model for this. So that's exciting for us. The grant is for $100,000. Got that right off the bat. I think there's 3 of us right now in the state that's working on it. We're ahead of everybody, so we're excited about it. The project will take a little over a year to do. It's a inventory of all the lines. We do some survey work, inventory all the lines, then we go back and we map all of those. We do some testing throughout, identify areas that are ages throughout the city and what types of pipe are in there, and then look at an improvement plan. There's nothing for anybody to worry about. We're not aware of any problems. Our water is tested regularly. The reports are online, but we want to make sure that we don't have something hidden that needs to be addressed. If we do find something, there are grants that will help us in pursuing whatever replacements that we need, as well as helping homeowners that may end up having issues.
Well, that's what I was gonna
We're
point
excited
out.
about this. Add
Yeah.
one more project to our list. This is a big one, but one that is necessary in our water division. So tonight's public hearing has been advertised. We have not received any comments that I know of. You haven't either, have you, Jenny?
Well, the
know
public hearing is not about this part. It was
Oh,
for the other thing.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
About the
no,
head.
you're good.
Yeah.
Well, I was just saying, I think what is nice and somewhat unusual is it does extend to individual property owners on the private side beyond the water meter, which is really nice because you don't have that all the time. So it's good news for our citizens. If there is a problem, there will be some help with that.
Well, and in
We've had
places
it-
like,
Jenny, we've had it on our website and at the water department, but we haven't gotten any questions. Yeah, no, not about the public hearing, but.
Right.
Yeah, about the project and the contract, yeah. We did have 4 proposers. CHA knows a lot about our system. They came out heads and shoulders above everybody. That's who we recommend. There are 2 actions required. One, award the contract to CHA to pursue the project. It's a generalized contract because we have them doing other things for us, wanted to have them do other things for us as well. And then also the $100,000 grant is an appropriation.
absolutely.
Recommend
All
both
right.
of those.
Council members, do you all have any questions for David? Do we have a motion to award the contract to CHA?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now we need to consider appropriation ordinance 1763.36, which is the money for this. It's $100,000. Do we have a motion that we adopt that appropriation ordinance? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Having heard 4 affirmative votes, we can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to dispense with the second reading of appropriation ordinance 1763.35. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I will add one thing. We do expect to have a number of community informational presentations, whether it's online or whether we do some in the community or have something general either here before a meeting or at the rec department. Just stay tuned.
Outstanding. Moving on to our next item of new business. So for at least 10 years, and well over that amount, I do believe, we've been talking about having a connector that would go from Tyler Avenue down to East Main, out near where Food City is, out near Rock Road. And it's been a long, long project. A couple previous councils have worked on this, and of course, city staff has worked on it for quite some time. It has 2 phases. And we work with the Virginia Department of Transportation to receive this money. It's such a significant amount of money. And of course, the longer it takes, the more it costs. And that's one of our challenges. But it should be pretty neat. The initial phase of the project includes about 1,000 feet of roadway, bikeway along the side, lighting and related amenities. And the way council and the staff worked on this a few years ago was to find a path for this road that gave the most opportunity for development. So it may not be the straightest line between Tyler Avenue and Main Street, but the way it meanders will allow us to have additional housing development, potentially retail and other economic development that can take place along the road. So having said that, It should be right there at Auburn Avenue, right across from Super 8 is where we should see the connector. And so the project is estimated to cost $2.91 million with between 80 and 98% VDOT funding, depending on the category of the project. Whitman Reichart and Associates has been the engineer. So they've approved the final location, the acquisition of right-of-way to support the project. It's been managed in-house by VDOT thus far, but we're ready to move forward a little bit. David, can you tell us a little bit more about it and where we're going?
Sure. I think you covered the general description, Mayor. The issue with this project has been, it happened years ago. COVID came along. The project got slowed down because of the inflationary factors that have now entered in, whether it's wage rates or materials or whatever. The cost of the project has gone up. So when VDOT reevaluates those projects for everyone, they went up 20 and 30% in some cases. So the only avenue, the money that we have is the original money that VDOT provided for us. So this revenue sharing program is actually a way for us to have a match on that. We don't think it will be as much, but it at least gives us the ability to move forward with the advertisement and move forward with the project. While the project is namely a transportation project to connect Tyler Avenue to ultimately East Main Street, and it's going to be in phases, as the mayor said, it's going to open up development area for both commercial and residential, and then give us a better way to get in that narrowness of Auburn Avenue as you go back towards the Christiansburg area. So an exciting project, one that's been a long time coming. This looks like what's recommended by VDOT and our engineers to be the best proposal. We'll match it with 50%, whatever that amount is. What we need right now is just a resolution from council to authorize us to move forward with the application, and the engineers are going to help us with that, Whitman Reichert. So I think that pretty much covers everything. And then ultimately, we're going to be looking at the different programs VDOT has to expand into Phase 2, Phase 3 that will go on down the hollow over the years.
So with this application, when should we hear back from VDOT on that? Paul?
Probably we hope winter we'll know, give a heads up, but probably it's going to be early spring late winter, early spring that we'll bid back out next year.
And then hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll actually see some action, some construction taking place
Next summer,
in
fall.
2024.
Yeah.
All right. You have a
But
question?
the wind has blown before, so
I
hopefully
know.
we'll keep their fingers crossed.
As far as infrastructure that's in place for where this is gonna go for utility lines, water lines, things like that, how much is that looking that we're gonna need to do?
Electric line is already, we've done a lot of the preliminary, right-of-way has been established, the electric line has been moved. There's another line that APCO, AEP's got to move over, but they weren't going to do it until the road was a sure thing in the project. We've got a water line bridge that we've got to do, but all that is stuff that our folks are going to do. And once if the project's approved by VDOT. I think they're wanting us to be able to move forward. As council knows, we've talked about this, the $2.9 million that we've had is the original money. That's the old program. So if we don't make this go this time, it would be a 50% match on the entire project. So as long as we can retain that nearly $3 million to make the project go, this extra is going to help us out a whole lot in moving it forward. So still basically very little in cost to the city to do the project.
Any other questions? It's an important project because we don't have that many areas within the city that we can develop. That's a particularly desirable area. It would also connect our folks in High Meadows to other parts of the city up near Food City. It would increase some of that accessibility and provide us with additional pathways should we have any accidents, say on Jefferson Street or down further on Tyler Avenue, to give other byways to get around. So I think it's really important that we go down this path. So with that, do we have a motion to approve the resolution supporting the application by the City of Radford to VDOT for the revenue sharing program for the Tyler to East Main Transportation Project?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, council members, we need to decide on our meeting calendar. You all received a copy of the calendar. And, you know, typically we meet twice a month on the second and fourth Mondays of each month. However, there are several months out of the year where we don't do that. Because of holidays in November, December, and May, we only meet one time. And then in June, July, and August, we've only had a first meeting, which would be this second Monday of the month. The only thing I will bring forward is whenever we have these situations, we don't have our attorneys present. So should there be a legal question, sometimes it's not possible for us to get an answer until the following meeting. I know staff and all of us follow up, but in terms of an answer within council where we can meet and discuss and debate, that's always one of the challenges. And so for a couple years we've talked, do we want to try to configure it differently? Now, here's the challenge. We're going to have a 6-week period where we don't have any meetings if we do move to a second meeting in one of these. So if we have, for example, say, instead of the July 10th meeting, we were on July 24th, it would be from June 12th to July 24th before we would meet. Or same thing with August, same thing with the May meeting to the second weekend in June, second meeting time in June. You know, there's some challenges. I don't know which way you all want to go. I just wanted to bring it forward because now's the time to talk about it, not just for these meetings. The November, December is a little tough because that's typically right around Thanksgiving and the Christmas and end of the year holidays. But May, June, July, and August is one I do think we need to at least be intentional about. And if we go ahead and continue just the one meeting a month on the first meeting, just know we don't have legal present should something come up. And it might mean we have to have a special meeting or something along that line.
I was going to add that, in the past, what we've done, if there is a need for legal counsel, then we will hold a special meeting. So it's not that we won't have any counsel. I mean, we will.
It just makes it more complicated, and
we
I know
may have to
everybody's got
schedule.
such busy schedules. I don't want to mess with anybody's schedule on that either.
In the last 2 summers, y'all have actually held a number of special
We
meetings.
have, we have.
But not necessarily legal. I mean, we just,
Right.
right. We just have a lot going on.
Right?
What is the reason we would need to change the meeting date to accommodate council being here?
We only have legal counsel at the second meeting each month. That was part of the arrangement we made. Our attorney, Mike Bedsall, is also the attorney for other localities, and he has
So
a
it's his
standing
scheduling
meeting.
conflict for him.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
gotcha. Yeah, gotcha.
But I mean, if you all are fine with it, that's fine. It's just we need to be intentional about those decisions now because we publish this calendar, and unless there's some crisis, we can't really move things around.
Have you guys had any issue with how you've been doing it, as far as if you need to do a special meeting? I mean, has that?
I've not found that.
The only issue that I have is people's schedules that I worry about, trying to find a time. We've been able to find a time to meet, and gosh knows during COVID, we had to call several special meetings, and that was a little bit different situation. I just wanted us to have that discussion because it is quite a period of time. Really, from April till September, we don't have legal counsel with us at our meetings, and so that's just a long period of time to go without having that for us as a group.
The only thing in particular that I think of is with some of the things coming up with the closing of the property
Yep.
at the foundry. We will need him for potentially for some things, so should we, I guess we could do a special
Most
meeting.
likely, if anything is required, you would have a special meeting if something comes up on the foundry property. Because I don't know the actual closing date is like a Tuesday or when. I think that 90-day period falls like in the middle of the week. So if there's something that comes up, most likely we would need a special meeting anyway.
What is that date, the 90-day period? Do you remember?
Do you remember the date? 22nd?
It's not August 1st? I thought August 1st was the closing date.
Yeah, we think we're
Okay.
going to be ready by the end of July.
Okay, I mean, that's fine, whatever the 90 days works out to. But yeah, that's the only thing. So, I mean, we would potentially be able to discuss it August 14th after the closing. We could have a discussion July 10th if something else were coming up. We could schedule another meeting for July 24th if we wanted to aim for that. It's just, that's the kind of thing that's the only issue.
And I would say, like, just to be aware, obviously, when we have one meeting, it is not unusual, legal or not legal, for us to maybe have to regroup and meet again. So I would just say, I really don't have any strong feelings on it. I've been okay with the way it's been handled. But I would well, I mean, I'm flexible on this. I'm just saying, like, you know, just common sense will tell you on the months that we have one meeting, it's not uncommon that we all have to get together. So, you know, just keep that in mind and we'll, you know, work through our busy schedules.
Now, as far as the VCI property goes, you all have put all the wheels in motion for that. So, you know, unless something comes up in the process of our due diligence, we're good to go with the closing.
All right, well, I just want to make sure we have that discussion. Any further discussion? All right, council, you have the calendar for the next 12 months, and it will include our July and August meetings, obviously. And do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Second. Motion is second, any further discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, you all received a copy of the ordinance number 1790, which is a lease, a short-term lease for the Virginia Employment Commission to have a space while there are other spaces being prepared here in Radford. We are very fortunate in that we have the former Wells Fargo building available that we are able to lease as that property for the next few months. So it would be June, July, August, and September that we would be looking at for that. Council members, you all have the ordinance that includes the lease. Do you have any questions?
No?
Any discussion? David, do you have anything you want to add?
No, it is short-term, good revenue for us during this period of time where we're waiting to kick off the East Main project and then ultimately decide what that building's going to be used for, whether it's a city use or we put it in our economic development toolbox to be somewhat of a small incubator where we could bring businesses in and hopefully spring them forward out of that into another location in our community. So it doesn't look like there's any negatives on it, no cost to the city. They take it like it is. They're in there 5.5 months, 6 months, and go from there.
Okay.
And we would extend the lease if they run into problems, but we don't anticipate that they would not be in their proposed building by November.
Do we have a motion to approve the lease?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So that approves ordinance 1790. We can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Do we have a motion to do so? So moved. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, dispense with the second reading of ordinance 1790. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, council members, moving on.
Let me ask the quick question. While they're renting this for the 5 months, would it not behoove us to maybe start deciding what the vision is for this building while it's being rented? So at least we're not, wasting any time on it.
I think it's a good idea.
That was on the tip of my tongue too. I think that we should start kind of game planning what we would like to see that. So yeah, I think that's a good thought.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Well, we have a number of boards and
We
commissions.
don't have a little bit of time
sorry.
beyond that because during the winter months, we most likely are going to have the entrances tore out, so we probably would not want to use the building during the winter. So you probably got, so you're not feel like in your rush. I think you've got at least till probably March.
They
of
said the
24.
entrance is being torn out?
Yeah, we'll pull the two entrances out as part of the East Main Street project because that reconfiguration that's going in there. So the building's going to have some access problems probably during the late fall, early
Gotcha.
spring, because we were wanting to make sure that we're working around, and this lease does not appear to be an issue with the project when it goes forward. But just so you know, you've got a few extra months.
Okay,
It's not like
perfect.
you got to rush to
Yeah,
November.
good.
When you say entrances to the lot, not of the actual building.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, entrances to the lot. Drive entrances. Thank you.
All right. So, moving on, we do have boards and commissions we need to take a look at. Our boards and commissions are how we do a lot of the business of the city, how we take care of things. We have 2 positions for our Agency on Aging, 1 on the Beautification Commission, 1 on the Library Board, 2 Rec Commission positions, 1 New River Valley Regional Commission position, 1 City University Joint Commission. Now, there's very specific reps on this. The city rep, then we have 1 for the real estate rep, and 1 for the business rep, 1 for our Building Code Board of Appeals, 2 for Planning Commission, 2 for the Social Services Board, and 4 for our Tourism Commission. So, having said that, council members, you all have a list of everybody. We can go one by one. We could discuss all these, and then we could appoint all at once. That's up to you all. But we have received a number of interested letters for each of our areas. So beginning with the Agency on Aging, Mary Ann Simones has served us well for 12 terms, 12 or 13 terms. She's really done a terrific job. She's been truly outstanding. And I really appreciate her service. Sally Ann Stapleton has been the alternate for that commission, and she's expressed an interest in serving in the main role. And then I believe Robin Troxel also said she was interested as well, as the alternate, correct. So, council, we do have that. Any discussion on Agency on Aging? Okay, so I will go on and put down Sally Ann Stapleton as the main rep, and then we can approve these once we get through if that works for everybody. Jenny, I'm going to try to help as much as I can so we make sure we get these right. And then Robin Troxel as our alternate. All right, I serve as the council rep on Beautification Commission, and we are always looking for folks to help us take a look at the community and see how we can make things look better, work with our municipal forests. Michael Mangladardi has expressed an interest in serving on a couple boards, but he also has put his name down for tourism, planning commission, and the regional commission. But I think he could potentially serve on beautification if so interested. We didn't have anybody else apply for that. Council members, would you all have an interest in asking Michael if he would like to serve on beautification?
Yep, I think that's fine.
Okay. For our library board, it is the teen rep position, and Isabella Calfee, who we appointed 2 years ago, I think she served one term. She's expressing an interest in serving another one-year term, so I think Isabella would do a fine job if that works for you all.
Mhm.
Rec Commission, Rick Slavings is interested in another term. Sam Hubbard is interested in another term. And Mandy Martin is filling a vacated term, so hers is not listed the same way, but she would have an opportunity to serve as well. Jenny, am I reading this correct? So all three could potentially serve?
And Mandy Martin's is for that senior representative.
Right.
Vacated by Bobby McGuire. He vacated it. We'll just do it at the same time frame we do everything else, so.
Okay.
I think Mandy sent me a letter at that time, and
Okay.
I want to say there's maybe 2 years.
Okay. So we would be asking Mandy to fill the vacated term, and then Rick and Sam would be serving a full term, which would be a 3-year appointment for each of those, if that works for everybody. Seth, you're our rep, so.
Yeah, having worked with them, I haven't had the pleasure yet of working with Mandy, but Sam and Rick are great, bring a lot to the table.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Okay. Jeff Martin has been our citizen representative on the New River Valley Regional Commission. He's asked to serve again, I believe, correct? And so I don't see any reason why he couldn't serve if he was interested, that his term would go from this summer through the summer of 2026, so we could work with that. If that works for you all.
Mhm.
I am the council rep on that agency. And then we have our 3 City University Joint Advisory Commission representatives, so we can take those one by one. Robert Towle, who has served, is interested in another term. Jeff, once again, is interested. I don't think we have a real estate rep who's expressed an interest in that, so we would need to find somebody. But Jeff and Robert could work with that. That's been your assignment there. Kelly, what do you think? You have any thoughts on that?
I'm fine. So I was unclear. I mean, it says resigning, not re-signing, resigning.
Right, yeah,
Okay,
he
just
has
making sure.
been in that role. He won't be serving anymore, yeah.
I thought that might be the case. I reached out to a couple. I haven't heard back yet,
Okay.
so,
We can fill that next
just
month if
making
we
sure.
have some more.
Help you on that.
Yeah. Yeah, just, I thought that's what it meant, but,
Just added a little too many INGs.
yeah, that's okay. So I have reached out to a couple of people, and I haven't heard back from them, so I may have somebody to fill that we can approve next time.
Okay.
There are some other people that are on the commission that I'll have to get with you, Jenny, that's to my knowledge, or has been brought to my attention, that don't come and don't participate and don't, so I'm not sure how we handle that type of thing, but there are other people that may want to. I would have to get I need to get with you to see what appointment they are, but there's been a discussion on, having active people on the commission, so.
That's an
And I would love to have active people there. Yeah. So there may be a few more on there depending on what our options are.
Sorry, just updating my list a little bit. So the Building Code Board of Appeals, Bruce Van Arsdale has expressed interest in serving again, so I think if that sounds good to everybody, we could ask him to serve once again.
Yep.
Planning Commission, we have several people who've expressed interest. Ryan Watson is serving as the chair. He's expressed interest in another term. We appointed Charlie Cosmato in January to fulfill a term that was vacated this past fall, and so he has expressed interest in serving on another term. Jeff Smith, who's the former principal at the high school, has expressed interest, and then Mr. Mangliardi has expressed interest as well. Council, I think Ryan and Charlie are doing a great job. Charlie hasn't had that much time on the Planning Commission. Ryan's had 10 years, I think. He's done a great job for quite some time. He is currently serving as the chair, but I would think they would be a good solution for the next 3-year term.
Agreed.
Sure, yeah, I'm the council rep for the Planning Commission, and I haven't had much of an opportunity to work with Charlie Cosmato. I think Daniel Handem abruptly stepped down, and we appointed Charlie, and he's doing a good job. And Ryan is an excellent chair. He's very knowledgeable and has really, we're going through a zoning ordinance rewrite, and he's just very knowledgeable, so I do feel that. I know Jeff Smith personally. He's a great guy, and I would love to, and I really appreciate him taking the initiative to want to help after his long service in the school system. So I hope that we can find somewhere here to place him if he is still interested, or certainly keep him in mind for the future. But the two representatives that have expressed interest, I think that I'm okay reappointing them. I think they've done a good job.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask a favor because we've had no response from Tourism or Social Services Board. I'd like to try to reach out to those folks again because that's pretty much the whole board for both of those.
I was going to ask on the Social Services Board, I was going to ask for grace till the next meeting. I will reach out to them personally. I can't imagine, especially with Gina, she's the board chair. So if you guys don't mind.
I mean, if I catch Gina in the street,
Yeah.
Well, and I think we can reach out to them. I felt the same. I don't know Valerie as well, but I thought Gina would make sense. And then for tourism, Kelly, I don't know if you all have had very many meetings this year, have you?
I haven't been invited to a meeting yet.
Okay. So I think we need to rethink that a little bit and check with the folks who have served before. Maybe that's something if Jeff was interested. If Michael is also interested in serving on a separate board as well, he might have an interest in tourism too. But we could reach out to those whose terms are expiring and then check and see where we go from there. Sound like a plan?
I think, especially for tourism, I reached out and Kim did, and so, and we like sort of full court press.
Well, and what we may do.
We would really like some people that were excited about tourism and what's going on in Radford to like help and that are willing to maybe help with events and.
Well, I was just going to say, Saturday night at Cassette Rewind, we could put in a little plug for people who are interested in Tourism Commission to come up and talk to us, because probably people who would be there would be ones who might be interested. So I'm going to ask council if we can hold off on social services and tourism. Now, we have one more that's not listed. Our representative to NRVCS, Vicki, has done a great job for us on there. She's coming off that board, but Emily Height has said she would be willing to serve. So I would ask that we would just put her name in there, and then we vote. We can vote in acclamation for all of them if that works for everybody. Okay?
That works.
So having said that, do we have a motion to accept the slate of our citizen appointments as we've divined this evening? We have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Rock and roll. Thank you all very much. That's a lot to get through. And I'm so thankful to everybody. You know, thank you to everybody who serves. Thank you to everybody who participates, whether you come just for some of the activities or you're a part of it all the time. We really are appreciative because this is also how we build our future council members. This is how we build our team for other activities throughout the city. So perfect.
They really are important because
Absolutely.
these are the folks that we often lean on for direction in their areas of expertise. And so these are working boards, but they also, we rely heavily on their viewpoints. So anyone interested, we'd really encourage your assistance.
Absolutely. All right, our last two items of business on our list are appropriation ordinances. Ordinance 1763.35 in the amount of $1,139,967. I talked briefly about what that was for, but I'll go over that again. We had our public hearing this evening. We didn't have anybody comment on that, but there are a variety of encumbrances and purchase orders related to the electric department equipment, information technology, the Tyler to East Main Capital Project, Radford Transit, and several small general fund departments and expenses. So to be able to carry these funds into the next fiscal year, we wanted to make sure that we pass this appropriation ordinance this evening. So, is there any comment or question? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve appropriation ordinance 1763.35?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second? A motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Having heard 4 affirmative votes, we can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second? A motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then finally, we have an appropriation ordinance 1763.37. It's a grant for the Department of Criminal Justice Services for the Police Department in the amount of $476,000. They're used for law enforcement equipment, technology needs. It includes 6 police vehicles, a flock camera, 4 public security cameras, a drone with accessories, and 5 new generation Glock guns with their holsters. So that's a pretty good deal. Chief, do you have anything you want to add, or come? Oh, okay, so 35 new Glocks, not 5. Okay.
I thought he was gonna say 35 vehicles.
I was like, wow, you got a deal. Scratch and dent.
Yeah, so this was basically ARPA money from the state. The state had about $75 million ARPA that was dedicated to the Bold Blue Line project and law enforcement. There's probably 13 cities in the Commonwealth that got allocated Bold Blue Line money, and then the rest of them, there was a formula put together to how they were going to distribute the rest of the ARPA money, and Radford got $476,000 based on population and need and crime and a whole bunch of different things that went into a formula. But a lot of equipment that's, I think, probably one of the most impactful grants that we've had that's going to have an impact not only now but for several years in the future when you're talking about drones and guns and cars, and it's going to have an impact for years to come.
Well, and Chief, thank you for going out there and making sure we get this money, you and your team, because that's really important. There's $476,000 we didn't have to find in our tax dollars for our citizens, so very appreciative. Council members, you all have any questions? Do we have a motion to approve appropriation ordinance 1763.37?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Having heard 4 affirmative votes, we can dispense with a second reading. Do we have a motion to do so?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? David, what do you have for us this evening?
Hold on 1 second. Catching up. Just a couple of quick things to follow back up again. I'm so proud of our team. Everybody's putting together a super duper July 4th. I've got a little anxiety about it. This is going to be different from what we've seen in the past while keeping some traditions. We don't know what to expect. So watch the website. We'll have parking indicated. We encourage folks to bus in. Be patient with us. Be patient with everybody. Be patient with each other. It's going to be a great event. So we're hoping people are moving around. Great children's activities to kick everything off. Bands will move forward and have a great ending that evening with the fireworks show. So thanks to Parks and Rec and police and fire and tourism and public information and IT and all the different departments, public works, everybody's involved to make this event super. So we're excited about that and look forward to it. And I think it's going to be probably the biggest one in our area. So we're looking for a pretty good sized draw. We're already hearing folks maybe heading this way from North Carolina that may be coming to see the concert. So be interested to see where that all goes. Just to mention, despite work shortage and inflationary issues, building permits are doing great. We've got activity. You can't hardly go anywhere in the city and not find something under construction. So I'm proud for our small community to have this much activity, and it's all economically based. So whether it's improvement to a home or whether it's a new business on Main Street or revitalization, great PR for our community, and you breed positivity, you get positivity. So let's keep our fingers crossed with a lot of good things going on, and we've been patient for that for a long time. Exciting news, our paving program will be released for proposals and bids next week. So we've got, I think there's 19 roads, there's a number of them this time. So they will be up for paving, and that work will happen late summer, early spring. I think that's it.
All right.
A lot going on.
Thank you, David.
East Main Street projects continuing to move forward. Got a little bit of a hang-up because it is grant-driven, and the grants slowed us down a little bit. So where we thought it was going to be ready to go by late summer, it's probably going to be more like early fall. So.
Thank you, sir. Seth, what do you have?
Sure, several things, but I'll just briefly touch on them since a lot of it we addressed in the meeting. One thing that we did was we had the Chamber Golf Tournament, and it had 21 teams. I know I saw Jesse there, and it was very well attended, and a lot of businesses, and Dan McKinney's doing a good job with our chamber. He's growing it and working it hard, and I know he's supporting the businesses and promoting them, and that's pretty evident when you see how many people just won these awards. So goes to show that we have some of the best small businesses here in Radford and the New River Valley, and I can personally say thank you to everyone for supporting them. Do have a little vested interest in that, so thank you. Also, and he's no longer here, but Jim Graham, just again wanted to acknowledge what a good person he is. You know, before I came to this meeting, my wife looked out at our garden and was not impressed. So she maybe I can get with Jim and get some tips. We walk often by the community gardens, and I think I'll take my notepad next time because some of those are looking good. Again, Greg Holbrook was here, 4th of July. I'm sure everyone will touch on it. It's a great event, and there's a lot that goes on to make that happen. So just want to proactively thank everyone involved. I know the work that goes into this, and I truly believe we have the best 4th of July celebration in the NRV. And if you're not from here, I hope you'll be here and come join us. Again, congratulations to all the businesses that we recognize today. That's small business is a lot of what keeps this community going, and the wheels, and you know, it's part of what makes Radford such a special place. So appreciate them believing enough in Radford to invest not only their money, their sweat equity, and everything else to give us some places to get a pizza, drink a beer, or whatever it is. So a lot of people represented today who are doing a great job for this community. Also wanted to thank, I thought that was a great story with Apollo 13 recovery. Some true, heroes in our community, and it's good to get their story out, and I was glad that we could get them together. So one other thing that I wanted to bring up is, I know we've discussed it briefly in the past, but maybe we could get on our agenda for next meeting, going ahead and nominating someone for the Big Al Hall Award. I think we've, amongst ourselves, discussed some worthy candidates, and between now and then, if we could maybe come up with someone, I think that would be good, since we're in the mood of celebrating. Yeah, certainly. And I'm sure the mayor will touch on it too, but this Friday, we will have the rededication of the James Oakley Field. So look forward to doing that, and we still have some more work to be done. Is that correct, David, as far as
Our parks are going to all be a work in progress.
Right.
We're updating everything. So
Right.
we've got a little bit of wall left, some paint work to be due on the picnic area, and a little bit of signage, but still, it's being well used, so
Right.
we're ready to move forward.
Yeah, sounds good. Last thing that I'd like to say is, Radford is a special place for us all, and it is incumbent upon us to continue to make this community a special place for us and those to come. We may differ from time to time on how we go about that, but it's important to remember that the goal is the same, and that's to make Bobcat Nation a better place for us all. So it's going to be a good summer in Radford, and I look forward to all the things that we have coming up, and appreciate everybody who loves this city, and that's all I have.
Thanks, Seth. Jesse, what do you have?
Well, ditto to everything that you've heard so far, so that's gonna cut my list down. My moment of silence this evening was dedicated to Elmer J. Vaught. The chamber event was, the golf outing was very well attended. Thank you to everyone in the community for coming out and Dan for organizing. On Memorial Day, I did attend the wreath-laying ceremony at Dublin Veterans Cemetery, and I absolutely love the fact that we use this time to get together with families and have picnics, but if you just want to get back to the brass tacks of what that is about, I would highly suggest you take your family to this event. It is extremely moving. The guest speakers are truly American heroes that walk among us. So I highly suggest, if you've never been for that, please make a point to go. This evening was the chamber mixer, and so a lot of our awarded folks were there, and they all behaved very well. I was making jokes that it might be quite lively, but it looks like they did all right after all. This Thursday, I will be going back to the American Legion. They've been doing some work, so I'll get back with everybody on where they're at with that. We had a DSS meeting, CPMT, of course. There was an event at the Highlander Hotel, which was very well attended. I keep joking and saying that I've never been to so many openings, ribbon cuttings for anything in my life, and we have one more coming up. But it was a great event. I think you'll cover on the 16th, the James Oakley Field dedication. I wanted to bring up, we had started doing this on council, and then with COVID and everything else, it was waylaid. But I know we were doing industrial tours of the folks in town, because truly I didn't know what everyone did, and to the extent that they were making an impact. And so I would, if possible, really encourage that maybe we get back to that. And we do have to split up, but normally that gives us 2 different times, so that usually works out. But I would just make the request that maybe we get those industrial tours back just for all of us. And I know there's a few that we just missed because of the timing of everything that I'd still like to hit. 2 just brief things, because I could go on and on and on about these couple of things, but we had the resignation of our chief of police, and I just want to say that Chief Dotson has been such an incredible partner with council and with the community, and through this time I have learned so much, and I want to thank you for opening up the doors, and that's car doors, office doors. I've been everywhere. But truly, it's had a very profound effect on the way that I do my business on council, and you've facilitated so much of that. And so I am very selfishly sad, but I want to tell you that I wish you the very best in all of your future endeavors, and you will be terribly missed. The other thing is, I just want to say to Superintendent Rob Graham that also going to be missed. He has been an asset. I've had the ability to, when we were going to move somewhere, he gave our family a tour when we were trying to decide where to move to. And we went to all the neighboring schools, and they were all impressive, but I have to say he may be one of the single-handed people that I spoke with and my family met with that really kind of beckoned us to the fine city of Radford. Also, he's been a neighbor. I served with him on council, or on school board, as well as working through many budgets on this side with council. And he's an asset. It looks like Pulaski is very happy to have him. Little salt in the wound, if you will, but I do wish him the very best of luck in the future, and I hope his career just continues to grow and blossom. I guess that's all I need to say about that, but that's it. That's all for me tonight.
Thank you. Kelly, what do you have?
Ditto to everybody, and it'll, I guess I will cut my list short as well. Congratulations to the Derek Wagner Dance Center. They had an amazing spring performance. I know David was there with me to both of the shows, so they did an excellent job, so congratulate to everybody that worked hard. I'm loving seeing all the Radford on the River photos of people going down. If they're renting wetsuits, I'll be more than happy to go, but I'm going to have to wait until it warms up a little bit because it's still too chilly for me. But I'm glad that citizens and people from outside of our community as well as inside are using that. Congratulations to the Virginia Living Magazine winners, one on council as well. I'm so proud that there are so many people that have businesses in Radford that were recognized, and I'm even more proud to call some of them my close friends. So I hope we continue to do that. The garden Mr. Graham is doing is beyond impressive. I was blown away by all of the hard work that goes into that. I do a little bit of gardening, and my mother and grandma are avid gardeners, so I know how much work it is, and you really do reap what you sow. So they are definitely benefiting from all their fruits and vegetables of their labor. Congratulations to all the Radford High School graduates who finished this year strong, and all of everybody who finished, the year that didn't graduate. I hope you guys have a great summer. And thank you to all the city employees who've been working extra on the sinkholes and the weather and all of the things that are going on that are unexpected.
And then the sinkholes.
Yeah, the sinkholes.
And again, yeah, and again and again.
Sinkholes.
Holes, and again.
With the S. But anyway, thank you to everybody that.
Up right up the street here, I'm a little worried about place.
Yeah, so thank you to everybody that shows up and puts in extra hours unexpectedly, and to everyone that's working on all of our events. 4th of July, I wanted to mention that the concert series is going to be this Saturday. Cassette Rewind is the 80s group, so I went to the last one. The weather was not so great, so it scared a few people away, but I hope it's nice this time, because I think it'll be a great event, and we have a lot of fun when we go. I just finished and rented one of my rental properties. I just wanted to say I've got 2 more on the way, but the amount of calls that I got for people needing a place to live and rent and wanting to come to Radford blew me away. So to anybody who is helping with economic development or redeveloping something that has maybe needs a little bit of extra love, I encourage you to do that and take that step, because there are people out there that want to come to Radford, and I experienced that a lot the past couple of weeks. So I think that's it for me.
All right. Thank you, Kelly. And again, I'll say ditto to everything everybody said. I had a list of some things I wanted to go down, and I'll begin with Chief Dodson, just as Jesse said. Thank you so much to your service. Thank you for your dedication to this community. Hate to see you go. You were the leader that we needed and the leader that we wanted when we were able to bring you on board, and we are so very fortunate that you have given some of your time and your talent and your energy to this city. I think our police department is in great shape. Thank you for getting us there and doing all the work that you did over the last 3 years. We've had a legacy of a lot of great folks who have helped work with us over the years, and this is an important role for our city. So thank you so much, and Jeff, we wish you the very best as you move forward. Now, I think we get to see you 1 more month before you finish, but yeah. So that's good. So we may have more we want to say. You never know. But again, thank you. I did want to mention just a couple of things. Unfortunately, the weather was not such that we were able to have the annual Memorial Day program at Bissett Park. But I do hope that folks go down. All of the names of the service members who were killed from the city of Radford in action, who are typically called out on Memorial Day, are on a plaque by the gazebo in the park. So if you want to take a moment just to go reflect and recognize those folks, that's down there 365 days a year. So you can take a look at that. But we're so appreciative of our veterans and everyone who helps make that possible. I just wanted to mention real briefly Bob Thomas, who passed away this past year, who was a central part of helping to envision and create and help work with the team to make that ceremony possible for many years. I had planned to mention just a little bit about him during my welcoming remarks. We didn't have those, but I did just want to mention that we're so appreciative of him and Lori Buchwald and Gary Harris and John Fox and Dana Jackson and the whole crew, and Nick Nicholson back in the day when he was a member of that planning team. They pulled together an amazing event. At that time, Radford did not have a Memorial Day tribute on that level, and so they pulled together the finest ceremony in the New River Valley for that, and we're so appreciative of all their work, and just wanted to mention that and say thank you. Speaking.
He was also highly involved in July 4th.
Absolutely, he was involved in July 4th. Bob was involved in so many things with the Rotary Club and the Chamber of Commerce. He was involved with Daily Bread right up until his passing, and so we're so blessed to have had him be a part of our community. Speaking of the Rotary Club, the one thing we were able to do in the city of Radford on Memorial Day was to recognize our Field of Honor that Rotary and Glencoe Museum, Noon Rotary and Glencoe Museum have put together, and all of the hundreds and hundreds of people who have helped support that effort, our businesses and those folks who made that possible. It's wonderful to see the names and hear the stories, and it was great on Memorial Day to see folks remembering members of their family, friends, people that they felt like had influenced their lives and had made a difference, and all the beautiful American flags just make it that much lovelier, but we are so thankful. Thank you for representing us at the Southwest Virginia Veterans Cemetery. We thought it was appropriate as you are a veteran and to carry that forward for the city of Radford. I know it was a soggy ceremony, but you pulled it off beautifully, and we're so appreciative. We do have a lot going on in the city. As Kelly mentioned, this Saturday night, this is one of the biggest concerts we'll have this summer. Cassette Rewind was one of the most popular bands we had last year. They're an 80s cover band. I think they do stuff on a little bit of the fringe of the 80s as well, but they'll have their parachute pants and their funky sunglasses and their members-only jackets and big hair, and it'll be a good time right out here on Glencoe Field. So hopefully we can get a giant crowd out. It'd be great to have 500 or 600 people on Saturday night, and folks from all over, not just the city of Radford, but hopefully call your friends and neighbors and tell them to come visit us. It should be a good time. I wanted to mention the Virginia Living Awards for just a second. You know, the awards are wonderful. The businesses are great, whether they're recognized in here or not. It's just nice to finally get some of the recognition. You know, we've fought so hard for so many years to share our story, to talk about the mom and pop shops, to talk about all of the hardworking businesses in the city of Radford that have gone on, many for 30 or 40 years, as some who were recognized have, and some that are brand new, but they're finding success. I've talked to so many of our businesses. This helps their business. It gets the name out there that much further. But we have people from across the Commonwealth. We have regularly people from throughout the New River and Roanoke Valleys that come to Radford to these businesses. We have people on the weekends that visit us from all over the country. That's one of the surprises. Radford on the River, I was talking with Paul Palante earlier today. He had people from various different states and all across the Commonwealth who wanted to come ride the New River. So Radford is the destination that we want it to be and is continuing to grow in that reputation. All of this helps. And as we are all ambassadors for this community, sharing their stories, helping a business get an extra customer, get an extra $10, $20, $30, $40 every day makes a huge difference. And so I'm really happy for all the folks who were recognized and for all the great businesses that we have in Radford. The best thing we can do is to show them our love with our dollars and to tell our friends and neighbors about all of that as well. A year ago, we had a meeting with the neighborhood that's historically been an African-American neighborhood in Radford. It's bounded by Staples Street, Wadsworth Street, Rock Road. It's all in that crossroads area. There are a number of significant historic churches in that area, and we talked through a whole host of challenges that the neighborhood faces and came up with a list of things for us to make the neighborhood a little bit better. And we've worked on a number of those, whether they be sidewalks or signage or lighting or anything that we could do to help. One of those pieces was a long-planned project for John Dobbins Recreational Park and James Oakley Field Playground for us to get some new and updated equipment, for us to look at the play areas and to clean those up and freshen those up, to freshen up the gazebo that's there, the little picnic pavilion, and to really restore it to the recognition that was so deserved of the named founders. And so we're so happy that we're able this Friday at 11:30 a.m. join us there. Get your friends and neighbors, come on out and help us celebrate. We're celebrating two great Radford folks and the namesakes for this park and this area. and also celebrating a neighborhood, because these parks that are in neighborhoods are really the centerpiece, the gathering place where a lot of people see each other with their children, see each other when they're playing basketball, see each other on the Little League field, and have a chance to come together as a community. And it really is a special place, and I'm just thrilled that we were able to clean it up, polish it up a little bit, and we're looking to do that around the city and other parks. We're also looking to have more of these neighborhood meetings so that we can talk about what's happening in Forest Park, in Plan A, in Radford Village, in College Park, and all throughout the city in different areas to say, okay, we can't do every single thing all at once, but we can work on the little things. We can try to get things in better shape and see what we can do. So we're going to be trying to put together more of those meetings over the coming year and see what we can do to get folks out and participating with that. For 4th of July, I want to reiterate this again. Plan to use the shuttle. We're going to have a bunch of people, fingers crossed. It's going to be a record-setting turnout, but we want to make sure everybody has a great time. And so thank you to Greg and his team, to tourism and their team, to Kim, and everybody who's helping out, all the city employees. Public Works will have done yeoman's task that day and that week leading up to it. Radford Transit will be all kinds of incredible with everything. So there's a lot going on. But watch the website and watch our social media, because we're going to have information about the shuttles, about the schedule, and about everything going on with all of that. The front page section is going to be dedicated to it. So Jenny's got it all. Yep. So check it out. 4th of July is going to be all kinds of awesome, as it always is. And thank you to all the sponsors. Thank you to Third Security for helping us have the best fireworks in the New River Valley for years and years, and continuing that tradition even now. The last thing that I'll say, and kind of focuses a little bit on what Seth was saying, and something that's been on my mind too. Radford is a small community, and we may all have our own personal beliefs and our own challenges and things that we agree on, things that we don't agree on. But we need to come together as a community to move forward. And I think we really need to find those things, put them all on the table, and see where we can agree and work together and see how, as a community, we can do our very best to give Radford its best chance to succeed. I think it's really tough, because we do have our challenges. I don't think anybody doubts that we have our challenges, and we've got to find a way together to overcome those things and to really put our best foot forward. We don't have a lot of margin for error, and that's one of the challenges that we have. So we need to all work together as a community and try to do our very best to move this community in a positive direction, and hopefully we can continue to do that. I appreciate everybody who does agree to take on roles. They're very challenging, whether they be in service roles, leadership roles, like our superintendent, who just recently announced his resignation, to our city staff, or to those who serve in elected and appointed positions. None of these jobs are easy, and I'm thankful for everybody who gives their time. Hopefully we can rededicate ourselves to this effort, maybe move politics to the back burner for a piece of time, and really focus on the city of Radford in a way that gets us where we hopefully want to all be. And with that, I will close the meeting, and we will see you on July 10th. So thank you all very much. Good night.